Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest Bison Video Blog. North Dakota State into the FCS quarterfinals for a record 15th consecutive season. The Bison will host the Mercer Bears out of the Southern Conference for a first-ever meeting. Back-to-back weeks, we get a first-time opponent with Jeff Kolpack. I'm Dom Izzo. Feels like we've been talking about Mercer for the better part of a couple years. Our executive producer, Stacey Anderson, is a huge Mercer Bears fan, but this is a program that has steadily been trying to get better, and they've done that. They made the playoffs last year. They won a game. They lost to the Jackrabbits in the second round. This year, Jeff, they win the conference. They make it a step further with a seed, and now in the quarterfinals for the first time.
Well, first of all, has it been 15 straight years? Isn't
15 in a row.
The quarters? Wow. That's
it's impossible. It really is. In this day and age, teams just have a dip and don't make it. Apparently not at North Dakota State. That doesn't happen. No,
plus, I guess the FCS has been watered down a little bit, and that might play a little factor. But in getting back to Mercer, this is a program that was resurrected in 2013 after, 72 years of being dormant. And it's a team right now that's built on defense. And they lead the FCS in rushing defense, giving up just over around 62 yards a game, which leads the FCS by almost 20 yards. Yeah. So it's not like it's a 2 or 3 yard here. And good defense. They have two guys with 7 interceptions that also lead the FCS, and TJ Moore is one of them.
They have a pick 6 that basically set the tone because they weren't doing anything offensively Saturday against Rhode Island. That sparked them to come back and win this football game. That's where their bread is buttered. Offensively, it's going to be tough for them, I think, to move. I know the Bison defense, we're going to get to it, didn't maybe have its best game Saturday, and you could say that maybe with an asterisk considering they had 3 turnovers. That's the part of the side of the ball that's been an issue for Mercer is offensively. And you're going to see, well, wait a minute, Dom, they scored 30-some-odd against Sanford and 30 against East Tennessee State and 44 against Western Carolina. Look at the opponents they're playing is what I'll throw out there. And I know East Tennessee State is one of them who the Bison struggled with earlier this year.
And lucky to win that game thanks to an onside kick recovery. But, it's a Southern Conference team that I think looks a lot like Southern Conference teams we've seen in the past come up here. You talk about the Wofford. Now, I'm not talking about triple option or anything, a little more traditional offense, but Wofford.
They were good defensively. East Tennessee State, they were good defensively.
Yeah, they had athletes.
Yeah.
They had athletes. And, again, this team has athletes on defense. And if you're going to build a program and make it playoff caliber, and you go, okay, what has North Dakota State done over the years? What's South Dakota State doing? They start with defense. I mean, you can talk all about the NFL draft picks on quarterbacks and wide receivers, Christian Watson, but it's defense that gets you this far. And it's defense that'll get you to Frisco.
I'm intrigued to see what this environment is. They played in Tuscaloosa, Alabama earlier this year. So I don't think anything the Dome is going to be, even if it's 10,000 people again, is going to bug them whatsoever.
Well,
it bugged Abilene, I'll tell you that. They had 5 false starts in that game on Saturday.
Yeah, we talk about the crowd of 10,300 and being so light, but it was 10,300 that were really invested in the game, and they made a difference. There was, 4 false starts, and there was a center snap over the quarterback's head, which was miscommunication, probably crowd noise induced. So 10,300, 10,000, 11, 12,000. I mean, that makes a difference.
You think that will be a factor, though, after playing at Alabama? It's loud there.
I mean, were the fans? The game was already well in hand.
before
really
the game even started. Potentially not. But having a chance to play a Valley team, they saw South Dakota State up in personal last year. Now another Valley team. They're getting. If you want to get to the top, this is what you got to go through. Is these teams in the Missouri Valley Football Conference?
Well, and playing these Valley teams, it teaches you the blueprint of what you need to do. And a lot of it is just getting a physical enough play to handle it at this time of the year. You got to be strong at the line of scrimmage. Obviously on defense, Mercer, defensively, their line and their linebackers, they're good.
And they're an area, it's Macon, Georgia, Jeff. That's an area, there's football players. You just walk out the door. Right, you walk out the door, you're going to find some dynamite players. That's what's odd to me is they didn't have football for so long in a football-rich area.
Yeah, and I just, I'm trying to get a hold of the AD who started to, he's the guy that brought football back, or one of the driving forces. And okay, why would you do that? Why would you want to bring football back? I think it engages your campus.
No doubt.
Where do you go for homecoming? Where are these schools without football? Yeah. What do they do for homecoming? I've always wondered that.
I don't know if you do much of anything. You might not do it at all if that's the case. All right, now to the Bison. And we've discussed this now for the last 48 hours of how to evaluate how Saturday went. The Bison scored half 100 points. They won by 3 touchdowns. They forced 3 turnovers, and I thought they played just okay. And I think the team did too.
I think okay is the operative word there. And giving up this run now, it looked like there was a holding call there, but it wasn't flagged. But still, where was everybody else?
Yep.
I mean, that's a 90-yard run untouched off left tackle. That's just unconscionable.
But then on the other side, they forced 3 turnovers and got a pick 6. So as Mike McFeely said, they didn't play great except when they did.
Yeah,
and I thought
right.
it was a perfect way to describe the game on Saturday.
Well, and I thought Logan Kopp's there, that fumble strip sack where he picked it up was a big play because that turned it into a 2-possession game. Or also it would have been trading off touchdowns. And then the Bison go up by, 20? And then they just, let a 2-minute drive.
Right. They had a big kick return against them, and then Abilene scored. And that's we saw the big plays against them that we hadn't seen since non-conference play. And that goes to how teams in the non-conference lined up. Like, we know what the Valley teams are going to do, but those non-conference teams, how they want to spread the Bison out. And McIver, and Abilene's got players. They were better than I thought. I knew McIver was really good, but his supporting cast was quite talented.
Yeah, and you talk about Hicks and his 90-yard run. That guy, he had some moves,
really
too.
Good.
I mean, not only did he have straight line speed, but there was a couple times where he caught a pass and immediately juked him.
Yes.
Wow, that's FBS kind of juking material.
Yep. Now, defensively, Luke Wirtz didn't play in this game. His status is still up in the air. He's battling that back injury. Austin Altapeter also with a back injury. So the Bison only had 5 healthy linebackers. That's, again, something as we go forward here. Maybe not this week, but if the Bison advance and it's South Dakota State, Wirtz had his best game as a Bison against the Jackrabbits in that win earlier this season.
Yeah, so when you talk about a nagging back injury, I don't know if
you want to mess with.
I don't know if he comes back. We'll see, but
6-year guy.
Yeah, that's tough. Those don't heal overnight, and especially it's been ongoing all year. But Nick Kubitz is a 6-year guy too, so he's going to have to. I mean, middle linebackers in Indy traditionally play the whole game.
Right,
generally.
But the way that they've rotated over the last couple of years, and especially Wirtz's success against the Jacks, if he can play, you'd love to have him.
Right.
They're also going to have to deal with an offensive line replacement for the first time since the middle part of the season with Jake Rock's injury, and he's done for the year. That means likely Jack Lewinsky moves into that right guard spot.
Yeah, well, Jack moved in, I thought, when he replaced Griffin Eppie mid-season
left guard
for a couple games, and so this won't be anything, again, new to him. And they like him. I think he's a good player. Jake Rock was a good player. He waited his time.
Yeah.
It's a crime that he couldn't finish out his career. He's a 6-year guy who just gets hurt at the playoff run in his last year. It's just you feel bad for the guy. You feel bad for his family.
Right.
We know his dad.
Yep.
But Lewinsky is Jack's been the 2nd year now in the program.
Right.
Highly recruited out of the Twin Cities. Son of an NFL guy. It's time for him.
I'm interested on the back end. Jalen Crumby got, for the better word, benched, I thought, for a couple series and came back in the game. Safety's a spot where basically they have no depth. It's Darius Givens, it's Jalen Crumby, and Ryan Jones. And after that, the Bison that's a real issue going forward with the Young injury and the Wisniewski departure. That's what they basically have at safety right now.
I think 3 is good. I mean, you got 3 at least.
I will say this,
not
right.
2.
Taylon Edey was getting reps during warm-ups on Saturday. He's a true freshman.
Will Stiles.
Same way, another
but they're
true freshman. Right.
Yeah. So
I mean, you're going to go roll with that. If somebody gets hurt, that's the role. That's the danger, I guess, you have this late in the season. I guess because there's nobody coming in. You know what I mean?
May I borrow an Al McGuire line here?
Sure.
Al McGuire used to say during tournament time in the NCAA basketball that a true you're not a freshman anymore. You've gone through the whole season.
At this point.
So at this point, if Edey has to get in the game or Will Stile have to get in the game, you're not really a true freshman anymore. You've got enough reps. You got at least got some experience now.
The bracket shaked out the way we thought with all the seeds, higher seeds winning. So the Bison, it's the 2-7 matchup with Mercer. On the same side, South Dakota State looks like they're just humming again. Jackrabbits might be the best team going. I mean, the way they're playing right now,
them or Montana State. I don't know how you
really
can knock Montana State off the favorite perch right now as the number 1 seed. But right now, South Dakota State has gotten better since playing the Bison. Mark Gronowski, you knew he got off to a slow start. You knew that wouldn't last.
Right.
And so, he's playing at a pretty good level now, at a pretty good clip.
They get Incarnate Word. That's a rematch of a game played earlier this season in Brookings. The Jacks won 45-24. if they won by 3 touchdowns in September, I don't see this game being close in
4
December.
touchdowns,
Especially 11 o'clock in the morning for that one on Saturday. The other side has Montana State and Idaho. That's a rematch of a game earlier as well that Idaho didn't have a lot of its guys, including its quarterback. Does this get any closer on Friday night because of that?
Now, Jack Lane's back. He's their starting quarterback, and now this will be his 4th game back in a row. So, they have that. You have Jason Eck, who I think is a pretty good coach.
And he's going to throw everything at him.
Oh,
you remember Eck did that at South Dakota State against the Bison? He will do that, I think, in spades on Friday night in Bozeman.
He will, but I still think Montana State, again, 2-3 touchdowns. I just don't see Idaho going in there. The game to watch, Davis and South Dakota. Davis is playing now. It's a 4-5, right? So it's not like there would be any upset. But Davis, they knocked off Illinois State in a big way.
Hammered them.
And just, I like the way they're playing. I like this team. I like the way they're coached. And South Dakota doesn't have the best home field advantage.
No. I mean, you want to talk about the Bison crowd. There wasn't nobody at the Dakota Dome either on Saturday. Lan Larison, Travis Tice, 2 of the absolute beasts at running back, going to be featured in that game on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah,
Dynamite.
They are the Cam Scatabo sort of type players of the FCS, guys that could just break tackles. It's like Genty going against Scatabo if it happened. These guys, just yards after contact, are just impressive to watch.
So let me give you this. There are 3 Valley teams still left. How many Valley teams are still left going into the semifinals?
Well, at least 2, I would think, and maybe 3.
All right.
Yeah.
How many Big Sky teams are left after this weekend?
Well, Montana
State. Two are playing one another, and then there's 3 Big Sky left.
But the power is in the Midwest and West, and we knew that going in.
Yep.
And unless Mercer has a chance if they play,
defensively, they're going to have to play a great game here. And the Bison, though, the only team that slowed them down, frankly, has been South Dakota State. Every game, even the game they lost against South Dakota, they still scored 28 points after a slow start in that one.
Now, I know I've been harping on that rushing defense of Mercer, but, Cam Miller was also one of the most accurate passers in FCS history, really. I mean,
and by the way, he was really good on Saturday. People will overlook that, I know, because the pick early. 20 of 29, he threw 3 touchdowns and threw for 274 yards, which is a Division I record.
Right.
He was still pretty darn He was still pretty darn good in that game. We will be with you on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. for Bison Game Day on WDAY, and the game is on WDAY this week. We're pretty pumped about that with Mercer and North Dakota State. Kickoff at 2:30 on Channel 6 on WDAY. The winner gets a spot in the FCS semifinals next Saturday. For Jeff Kolpack, I'm Dom Izzo. That's this week's Bison Video Blog.